I am Kung Jaadee, Moon Woman. I belong to the Haida, Squamish, and Musqueam First Nations, and I'm very honored to be telling you the story of Raven's Feast. So after Raven created our world, and he made all the nations of two-leggeds, of humans, and put them on the earth, and they went into the world, and they did everything they needed to do in order to be aayda, dear people, or hadalas is, good people. Yash, Raven went into a village on his own, where he rested and built his own xʷməthkվəy, his own Haida house made of cedar. He gathered some chin and cooked it for his evening meal. He got fresh water and he drank. The next day, he got up and he had an interesting feeling inside. He gathered more materials to build another xʷməthkվəy, another Haida house, and he put it right next to his house. He thought he'd be finished. But Ganu, no. He gathered more materials when he finished the second house, and he built another. And then he built another. And he built another and another. For 50 years he was building Haida houses as he wondered, I wonder why I'm building so many houses when I'm the only one here. These are two raven songs. What is that raven calling above me? It is chattering away, chattering away. Gusinu yash edu di sa kangan klakil klas gudan Dina skina Klala hey na slung La hey na slung La hey na slung I would like to talk about my regalia. This is my traditional clothing that I use when I perform my stories. Made by my great-grandmother, xʷməthkվəy. She made it for my high school graduation. My great-grandmother has over 100 grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and great-great-grandchildren. I'm one of the very few great-grandchildren who has a robe made by her hands. She put her favorite crest on it, which is now my favorite crest. This is Moon Woman, Woman in the Moon. I'm going to tell the story of how Raven brought the light to the world. So Raven was living in a village as a two-legged, as a human. But everyone in his village knew that he was the Raven. Now maybe it was the light in his eye, but they knew he had special powers. And they left him alone for a little while, as the relatives, including Raven, continued to help one another by gathering food together in the darkness. Because there was no light, they would trip and they would stumble and they'd hurt themselves and they complained together. I bumped my head when I was picking the berries. That's nothing. When I went to pull in my fishing net, I fell overboard and I was cold the rest of the day. Oh, what can we do about this? Let's go ask Yash. Let's ask Raven. Maybe he can do something about it. So everyone in the village surrounded him in this circle. Yash, look at this bruise on my head. See how cold I am. Well, what can I do about it? Well, we're tired of tripping in this darkness, but we heard about this greedy chief who has a great ball of light so big that he keeps it inside 10 boxes in his house. He's so stingy, he won't even let his own relatives in his house see it. He just opens it once in a while to peek and make sure it's still in there. But maybe you could go and ask for a piece of it so that we can gather our food safely. I'm going to be telling you a salmon story. There was a great chief, and this chief had a potlatch, and he invited hundreds of guests from all around his area, from other villages. And there was one guest who was a special guest. He had him sit beside him at his feast. And he explained to his guest very carefully, when you were finished eating your salmon, you must return all of the bones to the river. This is very, very important. And the guest nodded his head and said, yes, I'll do this. The guest was hungry and he ate his salmon and he took the bones down to the river, but he forgot some. And he put the bones into the river and he came back and he discovered that he left some on shore. But instead of correcting his mistake, he just hid those bones away and pretended when the chief asked him, did you return the bones to the river? Oh yes, I did, chief, I did that. Well, a short time later, the salmon people returned to the village. Xʷməthkվəy. Thank you.